Let me ask you a question real quick. Do you ever want to live in a fantasy world where the most handsomest guy always ends up with a girl and he may have time traveled or been a secret prince, but no one in the story ever asks any questions? You can live on Park Ave with a salary from Mickey D's or walk from Denver all the way to New Orleans. But me, I prefer all the reality and the truth bombs drop from the crew at RTP. You got what we need, 'cause these movies are a chore, but you keep us wanting more. RTPU, you got what we need, 'cause roasting is your technique. I'm gonna tune in every week. Hey, hey. Laters, baby. But not too much laters, 'cause you got what I need.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Paige made us watch
Bringing Down the House.
So, Paige, first off, nailed it.
You're welcome.
Queen Latifah is 2 for 2 on this podcast for me. Loved this movie. Why'd you pick it, though?
I'm not sure it's a romantic movie,
I actually agree, but I still liked it.
but I'm not a stickler about that like some people are on this podcast.
Yeah, Paige.
In watching it, I did remember there being more with the ex-wife than there was. I feel like this movie tries to do a lot, and what it ends up being is like, what if Mary Poppins was also Queen Latifah? And I'm like, of course, perfect.
It is that, though. Like, it is.
It is that.
Fully that, and I'm here for it.
As I was coming to the end of my royal picks, I was like, I'm kind of bored with royals, but I was like, I should do 4 or whatever. And I was like, Queen. And I was like, Latifah.
Hell yeah.
We have not done this. And now I think I'm going to start how Mikey has his Nicolas Cage run. I think I'm going to do a Queen Latifah run.
Hell yeah.
Because I think she's done other Christmas movies. And we're like right into Christmas. And it's time to start picking Christmas movies.
Well, we did her big one.
We did do her big one. So I may pause it till after Christmas.
That's fine. Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I've got some time to think about it. But I was very glad to pick this one because even though it is light on the romance, it is heavy on the fun. Even a very offensive film.
Oh, yeah.
But the people who are saying the worst shit are depicted as bad people. So
oh, yeah, Paige, I felt way better about the very racist people in this movie
racist,
because
yes.
In the opening credits I saw executive producer Queen Latifah and I was like, okay, there's no way these people aren't going to be positioned as bad,
right?
Or people aren't going to have like a aha moment about how they're bad for being racist, like that kind of stuff. I knew that was coming.
Right.
Although we never got that with Betty White. Betty White's character was just a racist old lady.
Well, this was the time in Betty White's career where everyone was like, we need an old lady to say racist things. Betty White, are you available? And she's just like, you got me straight tripping, boo. And I'm like, and she would just show up to set. But here's my thing, is that like, yes, it's they're positioned as bad people, which is great.
Yeah.
But I loved that we posted, because we are recording this on a Thursday, which means people have already heard the episode before it, so they knew this was coming, right?
Yeah, it came out today.
Shout out to Ashley in the Facebook group being this movie is out of pocket. And I love it. I'm like, out of pocket is the best description of what this movie is. That and what if Mary Poppins was Queen Latifah? And how can you not absolutely love that? No notes.
I mean, I think we now know how Queen Latifah broke out of jail. Someone smuggled her in a black umbrella and she floated away. Like, that's how she got out of jail.
She had a giant carpet bag and she just pulls out a saw. Yeah.
And a poster of Rita Hayworth,
Yeah.
So, Mikey, what did you think about it?
I've seen this before. I like this movie.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
This is my first time seeing it.
Todd, this is a classic from the time at which you forgot to pop culture, just in general.
Yeah, I wasn't really popping culture at this point. I was in school and working and trying to be in a band that was all right.
That's all right. That's why we're here to tell you who Ashanti is and show you Bringing Down the House.
Ashanti? She's a singer, right?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
He's getting better.
Heck
He's
yeah.
getting
Better.
better.
Couldn't tell you what song it was, but I remember I felt dumb for not knowing it.
It's the one with Fat Joe that everyone knows.
Oh yeah, Fat Joe, that guy. I've heard that name before too.
I went over to his house to pick something up, Paige, and I was listening to like 2000s hip hop music on my in my car. He's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck are you listening to?"
I was like, why are you listening to Hoobastank in my driveway? I have neighbors.
Hoobastank is not 2000.
This is also the time of Hoobastank, but like it's the what's love got to do
with it.
got to do with it, babe. It was a great time for hip hop.
Yeah, that's a Tina Turner song though, right? Like,
No,
The people at home, can I just see him like get this blank stare when we sing 2000s hip hop music to him? So I do like this film. It's fun. I think I just love Steve Martin.
fuck, man, Steve Martin is honestly, he's great in everything. He's amazing, but he's so funny in this movie.
And it helps that he's like a nice person in real life.
so people say. I don't know him personally, but sure.
Well, I mean, like, he's one of the people I grew up with laughing at that hasn't turned into a huge asshole as an adult.
That's
Yeah,
true.
okay,
He
yeah.
did get really into banjo, so like I guess that's how people go. They either assault people or get into banjo. And he went the banjo route, and we're happy about that for him.
Yeah, that's definitely the better of the two routes. It's just sad that that is one of them.
Yeah,
I feel like I should call this movie a guilty pleasure. I feel like the jokes are like really like, oh wow, it's like this all racism is the jokes.
Bro,
but like
yeah.
also like, I'm still kind of liking it.
I also feel like when I'm watching this movie, a lot of the time I'm watching it like, yeah, white people do be like that though.
Yeah.
Like
White people do straight be tripping, boo.
When she sang at dinner, I lost.
oh my God, I had
shit.
forgotten that scene. I was like, oh Lord, how is she not stabbing her? Yeah. But then it makes you really, when she puts the laxative, you're like, yeah, get her.
But that gets
And then
Steve.
he ate it. Yeah.
But also get him.
I mean, yeah, they're all in on it. Like, fuck all of the people at the table, except for the
Fuck all
kids.
of
It's
them.
not the kids' fault.
The plot was simple but fun. I think it's like a fun movie, and like the stakes are not. They don't seem super high, but they're for her they are.
I mean, yeah, it's just her life.
Yeah.
Because she's definitely going back to jail forever if they don't clear her.
And societal issues, like the stakes are weirdly high.
I know, right?
But it feels like just a long sitcom episode about like we have to clear this woman's name from the FBI.
It does, because there's like 4 plots in this movie. Because like we're trying to like clear her name, right? We're trying for him to get the account, but also to get him back with his ex-wife. But then we're also trying to like keep his teenage daughter on the straight and narrow and teach his younger kid how to read. But also we have the love story between Queen Latifah and Eugene Levy, which is what everyone remembers from this movie.
Because it's amazing.
Because it's amazing. If you're like, hey, bring down the house, they're always like, you got me straight tripping, boo. And it's like, yeah, there you go. There it is.
There's just so much to love about this movie, but I do have one bone to pick with it. Why did they have to name the young tax attorney guy who is definitely gonna bone down Miss Arnez? Why'd they have to name that guy Todd?
Oh, you mean Lex Luthor from Smallville?
Yeah, I had to call him Lex the whole time because I was like, fuck, this is not my namesake. No.
I did not catch his name, and so my notes say Lex Luthor the whole time.
I wrote him down as Lex Luthor too because they don't say his name the first time you see him, but I wrote in my notes the first time I saw him, oh, hey, it's a haired Lex Luthor.
It is a toupee. I'll burn a fun fact now.
Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah, because he had to he was shaved all through Smallville.
Because he was shaved all through Smallville because of Lex Luthor, and so that is a wig. Because this was happening at the same time Smallville was happening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, more like less Luthor because he's got less hair.
Less hair. Yeah,
what?
I'm picking it
It's all
up.
good.
I feel bad because he talks about it in his podcast about how it affected his career because he had to have a shaved head for 8 years.
I had friends who knew him because he was doing comedy for a while. And I should have asked. I'd be curious to see if it affected his hair. Just shaving your head for that long.
I wonder what he looks like now. Let's see.
He has hair or had hair at one point. Because after Smallville, when he was doing stand-up for a bit, I met him a couple times and he had hair. And so I know at one point he did, but I don't know
Yeah, he's still got it. He's got the hairs.
Yeah, I mean, he's like an adult man, so yeah.
Well, but here's the thing, constantly shaving for that long, I think could change the texture of hair. I could be wrong. Hairstylists, chime in, I guess. maybe I just believe something stupid. That happens.
I love that this movie does not show Steve Martin's wife falling back in love with him. Like, all that happens off screen. Like,
Pretty much.
I love
At that one dinner with her sister, that's the only time.
Well, yeah, but that's more like a did I make the wrong decision, that kind of moment, right?
Right.
And it's like he ignores one phone call for her and she immediately falls back in love with him.
Yeah.
Loved it.
How many phone calls was he taking? Like, if that's all it took, like, how bad was it?
Also, like, I'm going to assume at some point she was like, if you don't put more into our family, I'm going to divorce you. And he chose not to.
Yeah.
And then they divorced. Is it too little, too late? That's a different movie, but like...
Yes.
I think that's a more realistic movie. This movie is not at all realistic. I mean, Queen Latifah like moves into his house and like that when he comes home after kicking her out, there's a bouncer at his door. He has to like go through security to get in his own house. Like you would just call the cops.
Yeah, no notes.
No, I know. I mean, I love the movie. I think it's awesome. I'm saying that like a positive, but I mean, it's not realistic.
He threatens to call the cops and they're like, you can go in.
Yeah.
I love this. I had a good time. This was like, I had an exceptionally shitty day at work today, and this was like a palate cleanser. I was very excited by it.
I didn't have a shitty day, but I've been working on a project at work for like the past 6 weeks. The launch was yesterday, and like, yeah, I needed a feel-good movie to cheer me up, man. And this was it. This was it for me.
What has happened the last few weeks where like we've reversed? I had a great day, and then like work was pretty cool, and then I went and I'm assistant coaching a soccer team, and we did a trunk or treat after practice, and it was super fun. And then I don't know when we switched from like job stuff, but like I'm sorry, I feel guilty.
Don't feel guilty, baby. I did this to myself. I took the job, man. You know, but this movie. It was perfect for me. It was exactly what I needed.
Yeah, especially after, because like right before I watched this movie, I laid on my couch and screamed, "Please fire me," at my own ceiling. So that was good.
Don't yell at their house. It could burst into flames because there's a fire. But Todd?
No, Mikey, I got it. Yeah. My favorite part about this movie is Queen Latifah jumping off of a bench in a locker room. And
Love it.
jump kicking a racist in the face.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
No notes.
That fight scene is like Henry Cavill in Mission Impossible. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I think at one point she cocks her arms.
Good for her.
And she definitely punches a tit. I saw it.
Oh, yeah. Tit punch akimbo.
Yeah.
My favorite thing is that online she talks at a way different way than she talks in person. And I was like,
Well, she was pretending to be a lawyer. She was catfishing him.
Yeah.
She does catfish him like 100%. That is part of the story.
but before the term existed.
That is before the term existed, although that wasn't before it was happening. It was definitely happening a lot.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because he meets her in a chat room.
ASL and not the sign language, baby.
Age, sex, location.
I will point out that she does not ever say she's not in jail in those messages.
That's true. She is very vague, and she's asking questions about her own case.
Yeah.
And he's not connecting the dots because even the picture she sends, she's in that photo.
I know.
I
know. I love that about this movie. She technically didn't lie, and he didn't ask, "Are you in jail?" So like, loophole.
So there you go. Loophole. It's like it's the Tinder paradox of like somebody putting a group photo as their profile photo. And you're like, which one are you?
Ooh, always a red flag. Always a red flag.
No, you always got to swipe left on that. You know which one it is.
My favorite is when people do it and then in their like bio, they say which one they are. Like I saw a hilarious one the other day where it was two girls, one of them kind of a little more reserved looking, and the other one just like letting it all hang. And then the caption just said, "I'm the one with the tits." And I was like, mystery solved. Good job, Caitlin, or whatever her name was.
Galen, look me up.
It was really funny. I had a good laugh at that one. I was like, self-awareness is great.
So y'all want to go through this movie scene by scene?
What?
Shut up, Todd.
What? What is happening? Full disclosure, we're starting this recording at like 9 o'clock at night. So heavy
Yeah.
late night energy on this episode, which Mikey just displayed.
We got to get through it in time for Taco Bell.
Do we? I'm not eating any.
Oh, That's because Taco Bell embargoed you. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. In the last episode, there was a quesadilla embargo against you, and we've maintained it.
Like I care. But now you're my taco hostages.
And honestly, I think the embargo should be in place until Selma Hayek says you can have a quesadilla again.
Yeah, so somebody buy a cameo from Selma Hayek or whatever.
I just found out that Aisha from Below Deck does cameos.
What? Mikey.
She talked about it on her Instagram that I don't watch every day.
She's my favorite chief still. Like, I love her so much.
No one's ever bought me a cameo, but every time I go look to see if there'd be fun ones to buy, I'm always like, yeah, I don't need to know what these people think.
They don't think anything. You just write them a script.
We've gotten a few fun cameos.
We've gotten a few from the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
They got Katie to do one.
That's right, Katie Featherston.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't Tony Todd do one for us?
Yeah,
Tony Todd also did one.
Yeah.
I got one for the lead singer of The Darkness. We've gotten a bunch,
Oh,
and
that's right,
they're all
that's
super
right.
sweet.
I've never got one for just me. I mean,
Yeah,
fine.
you're the Katie Featherston one was for you.
Mikey, who do you think that one was for?
No, it's for all three.
No. The Katie Featherston one was for your birthday. I remember we
Oh, that's
organized
right.
it. I'm the one who's never gotten one.
Paige again is left out and discriminated against. But shoulders are costing a lot to talk these days.
Hey, you know what? Thorin Bradley does have cameos.
I don't know who that is.
It's fine. They do. Do your bidding. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about this movie.
Yeah, Paige, I asked to get into it, but I got yelled at by Michael. Mom,
He's always yelling. If you guys can't get along, you're going to need to go to your rooms.
I'm recording from such room.
Mikey, I'm recording from such room.
That's sure. Yeah. Okay.
All of these rooms are my rooms because I own the house.
I'm a landowner.
So can we please go through this movie scene by scene?
No. Sure. Okay.
My neighbors were like, hey, I like your decorations and stuff. They're like, you got plants and everything. And I was like, yeah, it's like a white girl trap.
It is though, Mikey. You've got pumpkins on the porch. You got a little spook in your decoration, but not too much spook. It's more fall.
There's a skeleton that waves and it's sitting on the rocking chair.
Yes. Well, I mean, naturally, yeah.
I got mums.
Do you have Daz?
No, they left. They went out for cigarettes.
But yeah, I could definitely see a woman in denim jeans, a light-colored shirt, and a brown fedora, like skipping up to your front door to get plowed.
Yeah, one of those hats.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I keep one of those Stanley cups with like a stick and a boulder, like a cage that falls down.
You mean a thermos?
Yeah.
Not like the hockey trophy.
Oh, yeah, I was picturing the hockey trophy. I'm like,
No,
why
no.
would you use that to trap somebody? That's wildly impractical.
I knew what he was talking about, but I was like, we're going to need to clarify for Todd, who doesn't know who Ashanti is.
There's a new hashtag basic like accessory of the season. It's the cup.
It's like the Stanley, like insulated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the Stanley. When you said Stanley, I knew what you were talking about. But
I
yeah,
have a giant cage just sitting there for them when they take it in a pumpkin spice latte, just ready to go.
I like this joke. Like, I think the joke is funny, but it's also dangerously close to like kidnapping. So maybe don't actually do this joke.
She's not a kid. It's a full-grown woman. I don't think you
Full adult.
understand.
It's adult.
I still think you call it kidnapping, though, right? It's not adult napping. Adult napping is what I need to do more often.
I thought you liked 365.
I didn't complain, Mikey.
Yeah, I
Who's
thought Todd
Todd?
liked 365.
What?
The movie.
I mean, it's a Paige like 365.
You liked it too, right? Because he kidnaps her. Remember?
After his father was murdered by a meteor.
I mean,
Shut up, Todd.
there's a lot to love about that movie, but it's not like the kidnapping part that I love about that movie.
That's what I love the most about that movie.
My favorite is the lawn robot George, but like, let's get into this movie.
Yes, please. Can we please get into this movie? I've been begging for it forever.
No. Yeah, we can do it. Okay.
Good. Let's get it.
We open credits over them talking in their lawyer chat room, which is great because we're like right into the story while the credits are happening.
Yeah.
Making good use of the time. Dig it.
You've seen You've Got Mail, right? It's the beginning of You've Got Mail, but an AOL
Yes.
chat room instead of like email.
Correct.
Yes. But this is a very boring AOL chat room if you were around at the time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
believe me, I remember the good ones. But this is like, she's trying to get lawyer advice. So she's pretending to be a lawyer, trying to get lawyer advice from like more experienced lawyers. This is the nerdiest chat room ever. It's like r/lawyers or some shit.
It is, but I'm picturing what Todd thought were the good chat rooms, and I feel like it's just like, what songs are your show choir doing?
That's what I was gonna say. Welcome to the show choir chat room. We're happy you're here.
Aren't trumpet players the worst?
They are, though, Paige. You say that like they're not.
Oh.
And they are, though.
Age, sex, instrument.
Yeah, it was ASI for us.
ASI, age, sex, instrument.
Because we didn't care where anybody was. There's no chance we were going to meet in public.
Yeah, no. Oh. Anyway, Flute Girl 69.
I'll say this one more time. Gods do not bother themselves with the comings and goings of ants, so I don't care about trumpet players.
Dude, every actor you like, every musician you liked was a band nerd / theater kid. Like, every fucking one of them.
Except for Harrison Ford. He was like a carpenter.
Except for The Rock.
Or The Rock. The Rock was a wrestler.
I only like ex-wrestlers that become actors.
You got a lot of variety there. Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. And honestly, Roddy Piper, my favorite of the wrestler turn actors.
I mean, how could you not love him, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
He wasn't a wrestler. He was a bodybuilder. But I can see
but he wasn't in show choir.
I can see that.
Yeah. If you watch the documentary, he's been obsessed with building his muscles since he was like a child. So anyway. But so they're chatting in this chat room and they're talking about like who, what they look like. I've got like long locks or whatever. And he's like, I'm older, but my hair is like boyishly light. They're both lying to each other.
Yeah. I mean, Steve Martin looks 57 and Queen Latifah's 31. So like, I was super glad that there wasn't like romantic chemistry between them. Even when they're like, full on, I'm going to say dry humping when they get back from their date.
They do dry hump in this movie.
There is like not really much sexual tension between them at all.
Whoa. Y'all never dry humped your friends? To like get them, like, make them okay, like cheer them up?
What kind of therapy do you do? I have like so many questions with the things you're saying.
You can't ethically do therapy on your friends, Todd.
That'll be $690.
Yes.
Nice.
You can't ethically do therapy on your friends. You can only dry hump them as a friend, not as a professional.
I am not dry humping you clinically right now. This is as a friend.
This is amateur humping.
Amateur humping. I'm just picturing you doing it and being like, so what's your mood today? Do you feel elated, depressed? That'll be $125. How does this make you feel?
Assaulted.
Now, what if I put these decorative balls in my pants?
They were big, too. His pants had to be extra loose to fit those balls in
Well,
those
they're
pants.
pleated because he's a middle-aged white man in the early 2000s. Pleated pants.
I've always hated pleated pants.
Same.
They don't look good on most people. You have to style them very specifically. Anyway, he goes to work, and we find out that, first of all, Lex Luthor is trying to steal his thunder, but also they're trying to get this account from this, like, real bougie old lady.
I think that's why Todd was into it. I think Todd wanted to bang that lady.
It feels like you're just talking in the third person.
I know.
Yeah.
And
love
I hate
it.
this. That's his character's name. Lex Luthor in this movie, not me. I didn't want to bang this old lady.
You say Todd is chasing clout and money?
Wait, what?
You say Todd's chasing clout and money?
Yeah, what relationship have I chased clout and money, Mikey?
Not relationship, but for the show. Like, trying to get famous and trying to get money.
I am not going to have sex with Miss Angie's or whatever her name was so we could be famous.
I 100% think you would have sex with an old woman to get famous.
Mikey, I hate to bring this
No.
to tell you this because I'm HR for the podcast, if you'll remember. And the org chart clearly states that you are the pants down department.
I don't wear pants.
I love that we're working in Fools Rush into this corporate bit we've got going.
You guys made a mistake when you made me HR. That's all I'm saying.
We've got to look at the articles in incorporation, Mikey, because I do believe you are in the pants down
For
department.
lots and lots and lots and lots of money, I would do that for us, but I would want a higher share.
For what?
Are you saying you're going to hire Cher to hire you
To
to
have
have
sex
sex
with
with
you?
her?
Yes.
I'm so confused by what you think this transaction is. Like, it's indecent proposal, but like the woman is propositioning the man.
But you're also chewing through it, which made it even less coherent.
I think I look cooler when I'm chewing.
You do not.
You are not Brad Pitt. Stop it.
Oh, Brad Pitt.
He could chew all night, right, Paige?
Oh, yeah. Eventually we're going to have to do Meet Joe Black.
I'm just saying, if somebody was like, look, I'll make this podcast the biggest podcast in the world. You have to have sex with me. And you two are like, Mikey, you do it. I don't want 33%. I want a little bit more.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know where share comes into that transaction. But also, depending on who says that, I think we should be able to vote or nominate. Like, what if Henry Cavill was like, hey, I want to make you guys the biggest podcast in the world?
But he has to have sex with one of us? I feel like that's a specific ask. And I don't think he would be asking Mikey or I, just based on what I assume is his preferred preference.
I mean, you never know.
I mean, there's not many people I'd cross the picket line for.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, okay, we could do our dream job full time. I could take a shot in the microphone. I'm not going to finish that sentence. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that out into a microphone.
I'd be like laying in bed with my future wife being like, yeah, I had an experience once with a man. It was Henry Cavill. And then
they're like, whoa, all right. I'm just impressed.
I like that even in this made up story, you still don't have a wife. She's your future wife. Like, she hasn't wised up yet. Like, you couldn't seal the deal. That to me is hilarious.
Well, not before he tells her all of his truths, like the Henry Cavill one.
That's true.
Which, by the way, if I was that future wife, I'd be like, tell me everything about it. Like, how was it?
I feel like Henry Cavill is the level of famous that if you did have sex with him, you'd put it on your business card. Like, it's something you would tell everybody, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But similarly, though, Cher.
So, yeah,
you know,
same.
so if we hired Cher to hire
Cher.
Mikey.
whatever.
He's like, I saw Moonlight. Come on.
But it has to be that I believe it. Like, what is that song? There's Life After Love. Like, we have to do it to Life After Love. Yeah.
Well, yeah, of course.
I can feel Mikey inside myself.
I really don't think I'm strong enough because it's the vitamin water.
God.
It's like big. Hey, let's keep moving. Anyway, so Steve Martin's like, I'm gonna get this account, but that means that he has to cancel the Hawaiian vacation he was gonna take his kids on, which is honestly a dick move.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole beginning of this movie. It's very clear that Steve Martin needs to hear Henry Chopin's Cat in the Cradle. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, I thought that was Cat Steve.
Yeah, it's Cat Stevens, bro.
I don't think it is. Google it. I think Cat Stevens covered it. I know Ugly Kid Joe covered it because that's the first time I heard it.
First of all, it's Harry Chapin.
Chapin, yeah. Oh, did I say Chopin?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Which is why I was so confused.
Harry Chapin, yeah.
Harry Chapin, Johnny Cash also covered it.
A bunch of people covered it, yeah.
I'm just checking to see the date on the Harry Chapin one.
I think it's based on a poem, actually. I'm not sure that anyone, I don't know.
The only cover of the song was released by Ugly Kid Joe in 1981. He never did record it. It is actually Harry Chapin. Interesting. But it's because it has cats in the cradle in the song. Who originally recorded it? It was Harry Chapin. You are correct.
Yeah.
Good job.
I only heard the Ugly Kid Joe version because it slaps. But you know the song, right? Like, do you guys get the reference?
I only know the original version. I've never heard this Ugly Joe nonsense or whatever.
I mean, it's truly a cover of the song. So all the lyrics are the same. It's just like a
Yeah, I love Cotton Eye Joe. Where did you come from? Where did you go, Dad? Where did you come from?
No, where did you go? The original is the one that I find is always played for comedic effect. Like, it's the one they used on Always Sunny.
Yes.
Where they did Daddy and the Boy and they played the original. And I feel like it's a very sad song that seems to only get used for jokes. But yes, I have heard the original.
But it's all about how a dad sort of ignored his family as they were growing up.
Right.
And then once they were older, they didn't really want to have anything to do with him because they didn't really know him. Like, they never really built an emotional relationship. Anyway, but Steve Martin's character is very workaholic.
Yes.
And not spending time with his kids. That's the vibe. And that's why his wife left him, although we don't learn that right here, but we do learn that over the course of the movie.
Right, exactly. So he calls his family and lets them know the kids are disappointed. But he then goes to the first meeting with the old bougie lady with the dog, William Shakespeare. It's a French bulldog that aggressively attacks almost everyone it comes in contact with, which I kind of love. I love when a dog gives no fucks.
I loved Shakespeare in this movie. He's dressed appropriately for every scene. He's always doing the least. Like, I love him.
He's got an Elizabethan collar through most
in
of
this
the
scene
film.
he is. Yeah. Well, because
yeah.
she introduces him and his name is William Shakespeare. So like that's the picture of William Shakespeare everyone knows, right? That was in the textbooks.
Yes.
So he's got that same collar and it's very funny.
I also love when people give their pets first and last names. I think it's funny every time. One of my best friends has a cat named the Widow Mrs. Myrtle Abernathy, which is great.
What happened to her husband?
We don't know. She doesn't like to talk about it, but that's why she always wears black. But Marie, who I started Cult Podcast with, like early Cult Podcast.
Yeah.
Her mom had a cat named Jason Statham.
Hell yeah.
For the longest time, and would call it by its full name every time.
Like, Jason Statham, get off the counter.
Yeah, do you want some treats, Jason Statham?
You think he was a theater kid?
No, he was a diving nerd.
He was an athlete.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Mikey, you don't have to convince me. It's Todd.
What?
That not all actors are theater kids is what he's trying to prove. And we love Jason Statham. He's a fantastic actor. I'm glad he found his way to it. Anyway.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod?
People say that on podcasts a lot.
They do when they're actually talking about people who they're friends with or they've had on the show.
What? I can't just be friends with people.
Yeah.
I have a podcast.
Like, that would be something you say if, like, Jason Statham had been a guest or knew we existed on any level.
No, I agree with Mikey. I think you just start saying that people are friends of the pod, and then you're manifesting it, and someday it comes true.
You're putting it out into the universe. I love it. Let's go.
Put it out.
Do you know who loves this movie?
Friend of the pod, Henry Cavill.
Friend of the pod, Barack Obama.
Yeah, there we go.
He follows me on Twitter.
He follows everybody on Twitter.
Shut up, Paige, friend of the pod.
Anyway.
I DM'd him because, when you follow each other, you get DM'd. I said, big fan of your work.
And you know what?
He left you on red?
He gave a heart emoji.
Oh, okay. Whatever team runs that Twitter account.
I said, if you don't respond, I can call you friend of the pod. And so I am able to now because he never responded.
Yeah, nailed it. Barack Obama, friend of the pod.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, he should put it on his business card.
Shaq used to follow me on Twitter. I said, big fan of your work.
I loved when you poured that milk into your shoe.
Hey, Mikey, tell me about who followed you on MySpace.
Friend of the pod, that girl I was friends with on 8th grade.
Friend of the pod, Tom.
Yeah, Tom. I bet he's living a good life. He's the only guy who did something big back then, sold it, and then didn't try to destroy the earth in the next 20 years.
I have no idea what happened, but he probably got 300 some million for that, right?
Let's see.
I would never work again. I would just create my own shit. I'd still do the podcast, but
He 50 years old, he lives in Hawaii, and he lives his life as a travel photographer, just exploring the world and sharing beautiful photographs from exotic destinations.
Good for
I
him.
am okay with that man having a shitload of money.
He sold MySpace for $580 million in 2005.
I was low with my 300 million.
You were low.
Damn, good for you, Tom. And if we were ever really friends, you give me a stone cold million. Friend of the pod, Tom.
Here's my thing. Where's his documentary? Right?
So to me, that's he didn't want to become a billionaire and do that whole thing. He was I did my thing. I'm taking my couple $100 million and I'm going to go live a fantastic life. And
yeah,
more power to you.
That's what I mean. He is not actively trying to destroy the world.
Yeah.
He's trying to take beautiful pictures. I'm here for that.
We would love to have you on, friend of the pod, Tom from MySpace.
Hell yeah. MySpace Tom. Any day of the week.
And twice on Sundays. Anyway, so he's at dinner with this bougie old lady and they're trying to kick her dog out of the restaurant and he bribes the waiter and he's like, I think the dog is fine. And he's like, yes.
Well, he bribes the waiter while making a show of yelling at the waiter. So the lady who they're trying to sell, who is terrible, but
yeah,
she's an heiress. She controls billions of dollars.
Your racist grandma.
Yeah, racist grandma who's turned on by people being mean to those who work in the service industry.
Right, but he knows that that will like turn her on in a business sense.
Yeah.
So he berates this waiter, but he gives him $100 tip. Like, I think the waiter knows what's going on, right? I feel like the waiter's in on it because he's like, oh, of course, sir, and then leaves. I mean, with his $100.
Right. He knows that lady's got an abuse boner, and like, there's nothing that they can do about it.
An abuse red rocket, if you will, because it's a dog.
God damn you, Shakespeare. You don't want to see when he shakes his spear. You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, we cut back to he goes to his house, and we meet his neighbor, Betty White, who we will find out is his boss's sister. And Betty White is her Betty Whitingest. And by that, I mean like Betty White supremacist in this film.
Yeah, she's like Betty White power in this movie. Like, it's bad. It's bad. Like, she is so racist. She's the kind of racist. And because I saw executive produced by Queen Latifah, when she was this racist, I was like, okay, cool. Betty White's character is going to like learn some shit and then not be racist by the end of the movie. And that does not at all happen. She is racist the entire movie.
She is just an evil honky, just in the middle of this movie.
Well, did your racist grandmother turn around at the end there?
My grandmother died when I was very young. She had a lot of cancer, so I don't know if she was racist.
Friend of the pod, Todd's cancer grandma who was racist.
Todd's racist, cancer-riddled grandmother.
I'm a Taurus, so I get it.
What?
Are all tourists racist grandmas? I'm so confused.
I think it's Cancer, Taurus.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't know if Mercury's in Gatorade, man. Like, I don't pay attention to any of that shit.
It's Scorpio season, so it's time for me to get revenge on everybody. I'm planning. I'm plotting. I already put that thing in a cake earlier this week. I'm in it. I'm good.
Mikey's face about what you just said about putting something in a cake this week was very funny to me.
I didn't say anything.
He was like, what was in that cake? But Paige, I know what was in that cake because I remembered the story you told us not an hour ago.
I told you guys before we started.
Mikey, do you have any memory of what's in the cake?
Man.
So nice to be listened to.
Lots of stuff. It's a coconut cake. She's made it 3 times.
What's in it? That's not the question. What's in the cake, Mikey?
Love.
I hope I have the cake story recorded. If I don't, Paige told us a story about a cake an hour ago. Let's just know that.
I listen for a living. I'm not going to give it up for free.
We pay you. God damn it.
The thing he came over to my house to get was a check, by the way, when he was like shaming me for my music choice. That's what he came over to get. So yes, you get paid.
I've added you to my revenge list.
Oh, man.
It will not be swift, but it will be just. Anyway, Betty White's super racist and says some horrifying things. And Steve Martin, who has already demonstrated that he's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the movie. It's so racist that even his character is like, yikes.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
Oof, magoof. Like, wow.
Oof, magoof.
Did you just lose a mayoral election in Franklin, Tennessee? Like, Jesus, you're a racist.
Yikes.
She turned in her badge today. She's not gonna serve out her term.
Who? Oh yeah. Okay. So I don't even know what she was before this, but whatever. Fuck her.
A councilwoman or whatever.
Oh, I thought we were implying that Betty White was a racist cop, and I was like, if the shoe fits.
Oh man, I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Just Betty White and her version of Training Day? Yeah, of course.
I didn't know you got wet. What?
I'm getting too old for this shit. Damn right you are.
Yes.
Anyway, Steve Martin goes inside, gets ready for a date, turns on Bossa Nova, puts on an equally offensive pair of pleated pants, pours some champagne, opens the door, and it's Queen Latifah. And the fact that he's not thrilled that he's about to have the best night of his life because it's Queen Latifah is offensive. But he's immediately like, who the fuck are you? You catfished me. And she's like, same, sir, with your boyishly light hair. No.
I mean, it was boyishly white hair. And what's lighter than white, Paige?
Ice cold.
All right. Anyway, I do think it's funny that he goes around like undoing the date thing. He's like blowing out all the candles.
Yes.
Or whatever.
Yeah. It's wild to me that he thought he was getting laid the first night he hung out with lawyer girl or whatever.
Well, come on, he's a guy.
But also, Todd, I don't know have you ever met people who met online and talked for way too long before meeting in person, but then didn't catfish each other? Like they turned out to be the actual people? Those people fuck like rabbits. Like it's nuts. Like they're like, oh, you're real and this isn't fake. And we've been talking for 2 years or whatever. We're about to have 3 kids instantly. It's nuts.
I have never had that experience end in 3 kids.
Well, I mean, some people, use protection or whatever. But like if you don't.
Losers.
Paige is going back to her list, writing down his name twice.
She's making a list.
Right.
Mikey's on it twice. I'm gonna put cakes in, stuff them with things that aren't nice.
Ice.
Ricin. Ricin is a poison. That's where that joke is.
Well, I can't kill you.
Oh.
You are involved in my income. Pagey clauses to town.
To murder.
My favorite part of this scene is that he blows out all the candles and shoos her out and then just goes to bed. It's like 7. He says it's 7 o'clock. He's like,
Yeah.
This fucked up so bad. I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
He gets into his sheets.
Honestly, Mikey, though, been there. I've been there. I've been like, fuck this day. It's been terrible. I'm going to bed.
Time to reset.
I'm like, it's
Yes.
6:30. All right, well, I'm watching Below Deck until I pass out.
If we were not recording this, I would have watched the new episode of Loki 2 and then just like,
Yeah.
just checked out.
Yeah. When you're doing all the things that we're doing, you sort of like have to get your sleeps when you can get your sleeps,
Yes.
It's hard for me to sleep because of the PTSD.
Yeah, I get that.
Hey, the detour to your high road is blocked, sir. It's Scorpio season. You got to go trick-or-treating today. I had to talk to marketing.
I don't understand this Scorpio. Friend of the pod, Al Pacino.
I don't know if you saw it, but he actually left a review for the podcast. Did you guys see it? It was greatest 5 stars.
Oh, thank you, Al Pacino.
Okay, this is not about anything we're talking about, but I want to talk about it. I watched Heat the other day again, and I love that movie, but then
so
it hits
good.
different. You should watch it now because it's about people. It's about 2 guys on opposite sides of the coin.
Yes.
But they both work too much.
Yeah, they're both
And it
workaholics.
destroys their life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because really it's not about Al Pacino catching him. It's really about the fact that, like,
They're the same person on either sides of the law.
Yeah.
they're the same person and both of their personal lives are destroyed because of their obsession with their jobs.
Yeah.
And when you're younger, you're just like, it's cool because it's cops and robbers. But when you get older, you're like, oh, yeah, I work too much. Like, I get this. Yeah.
You know you're old when heat hits different. You know what I'm saying, Mikey?
Hey, that hot flashes are a sign of menopause. Mikey, are you sure you're okay?
Ugh.
Anyway, back to this movie. Friend of the pod, Queen Latifah, goes out to the driveway and is basically just like, it's your baby. And he's like, oh no, the neighbors are going to hear, which perfect strategy. Love it.
Dude, when she starts yelling about how, like,
Kareem is yours.
yeah,
I
oh
love
my
it.
God,
Love
Paige,
it.
I lost my mind. I literally wrote, I fucking love Queen Latifah.
Oh, how can you not? Queen Latifah for president 2024.
Hell yeah. Dude, when Steve is like ushering her out of the house right before she does the whole Kareem is yours bit.
Yeah.
Like, they are just 2 like silly people playing with each other, like just being silly in the same room. Like, they're just so in the moment there. It's so funny. I loved it. Like, they are so good on screen together.
I love them both.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Anyway, she blows up his spot and he's like, okay, get inside. You can stay just for tonight, like whatever. And she tells him she kept all his emails so that
Yes.
there's a existing relationship.
Right. But he like pushes her into the bushes when Betty White comes out
Right.
and says something pretty freaking racist.
No, it's nothing compared. Well, it's pretty bad. I think the worst one is when she walks in on them dry humping.
Yes.
The thing she says in that moment is one of the most horrifyingly racist parts of this film.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, how did that pass standards and practices?
I don't know. Yeah, I was like, oh, wow, were we Were people saying that in 2003?
No, but I think they were saying it in 1903 when Betty White was alive. You know,
I do want to say that posthumous friend of the pod, Betty White, is just an actress. Like, she does a great job in this movie. It's just that her character is a racist old lady. It's terrible.
Yes. Now, they decide to spend the night. She finally has an actual bed that she can relax in. It's very, very good. I'm very happy for her. I root for her this whole movie.
You should.
But he comes in the next morning and he had barricaded the door. Like, if you watch, he's got like a chair. And I'm like, dude, she just wants to sleep. Anyway, he opens the door and he wakes her up and she, you know, has been incarcerated.
Yeah.
So she immediately wakes up throwing punches and was like, who wanted with lean? And just immediately takes him out like crotch and face. It was great. But he tells her there's bagels outside, which basically he like tricks her into being locked out.
Yeah.
And he's like, bye, I'm going to work. And she's like, all right, I'll see you when you get home. Like, you thought you got rid of me?
And then she walks right back to the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
She just finds another way in.
Yes. But we cut to him picking up his kids at their mom's house, his old house. And her sister, his ex-wife's sister, Missy Pyle, is over. And she is such a heinous trash pile of a human in this movie.
She's the worst.
Oh, yeah, bad.
The worst. She's so terrible.
She is terrible. And she's terrible to everybody. She's mean to Steve Martin. She's mean to all them.
Oh, yeah.
She's horrendously racist. And she is a straight up gold digger for like all of them. She's dates multiple people with oxygen tanks.
Yeah.
You're just like, girl, oh no.
She's not into you if you're not tanked up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, prenup, dude, prenup.
Yeah.
But this is where we find out that the younger son has trouble reading. And she says something so mean to him. She leans down and she's like, Daddy's stupid too. And he became a lawyer. And I was like, first of all, you just called a child stupid
Right?
to their face. Secondly, damn. Anyway, he's going to take the kids to swim at the club. So as they're getting ready to leave, the mom is going away for a weekend to a cabin and her date shows up. And it's a guy that used to caddy for Steve Martin when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
He is significantly younger, hot as hell. And then he disappears for the rest of this movie. Like, we see him, I think, one other time, and that's it.
That's what I mean. Like, we never see his ex-wife fall back in love with him, have any sort of closure with that dude. She was fucking, like,
Yeah.
none.
And she was fucking that dude.
Oh,
like,
they
absolutely.
definitely were fucking. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who wouldn't?
I mean, she was breaking it off for sure. And he was, like, into her in a way that, like, you know she was doing it right, Paige. I see you laughing. But you know it's true, Paige.
He had to stick around because she broke it off and then she kept it. So, like,
That's
whenever
what I
he
mean.
wanted to use it, he had to ask her.
When it's that good, you make bad decisions.
Anyway, as Steve Martin's driving his kids home, we get a little more conversation with his daughter from Halloween Town and then the little kid from 2.5 Men. And the little kid is like, some kids called me a baby because of how I read, which is very sad. Like, his journey to read that we don't fully see realized in this film is pretty sad.
I mean, he learned how to read porn mags, so, like, he's fine. He's doing fine.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to mess him up in the future ever.
Okay, it is terrible, but I really loved hey, Dad, what's a rack? A country. I love that joke.
It is a really good joke.
One of the only people truly reading it for the articles. Anyway, they arrive back to the house and a party is in full swing and they get in by threatening to call the police. You know, just like a white person to call the police on a
In
party.
all fairness, it's at his house. Like, he owns that house.
Yeah. Chill the fuck out and enjoy the cookout, bro.
I mean, honestly, the cookout did look very fun.
It looked really fun. But anyway, so he shows up. She's getting her hair done. And so she explains it as, well, I had to get my hair done, so I called my hair lady. Then she called 2 people. They called 2 people. They called 2 people.
And it became like a cookout party or whatever, you know?
Yeah. A pyramid scheme of awesome. But he's freaking out because he's like, my neighbors are all racist. And I was like, this sounds like a you problem, bro.
Yeah.
But he's like, everyone get out. All the dogs go back to the pound. And everyone's like, I'm sorry. What did you just say, sir? And he's like, oh, no. Is that only okay when you okay? And they throw him in the pool as he deserves.
It was great. I loved it.
It was great.
And I love that it's like it's actually Steve Martin that gets thrown in the pool. Like they don't even try and do a stunt double. Like it's actually him. It's great. Loved it.
Yeah.
He actually like dances in this movie. I mean, it's not good, but like he was moving more than I thought he could at that age. Although he sort of has always looked 70 to me.
Yeah.
So like he might have been like 45 when he shot this movie. I have no idea.
Well, and so I do love that they throw him, not the kids. Like the teenage girl's like talking to people and he's like, hey, she's underage. But then the kid is like learning how to shoot street crafts. Yeah. It's amazing.
Well, the kids just like, blend in. They're like hanging out with the cool people that are at their house.
Yeah. But they do eventually kind of send everyone home. And as they're sending people home, one of the guys comes up to Charlene and is like, hey, Widow wants to know when you're out. And she's like, all right, well, if you see him, let him know. But as they're kind of clearing everybody out, Charlene included, and she does snatch her money from the kid. Yeah. He's like, well, we're going to the club. And she's like, what club? And he's like, not club. We're going to Hawaii. Like, he's trying to lie to her.
Yeah.
But they leave. She's got money. So I picture this as, unfortunately, a wonderful shopping spree scene that got cut.
Yeah, maybe.
Where she goes and gets all new outfits. That would have made me very happy. But she shows up at the club in all of her finery. And the club is like, what is happening here? The club can't even handle her now.
It's a pretty racist club, which,
it's a country club.
The stereotype of clubs like that is that they are racist. I've never been to one, so I do not know. But that clearly exists in the world because that's the stereotype.
I'm going to say they're guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But she shows up. She's like, I'm a friend from college. So she shows up as he's about to have a meeting. So Eugene Levy is there. His kids are swimming and they're waiting for that bougie old rich lady to show up. And this is where Eugene Levy is just like, oh my God, yes, yes. And he just loves her as is. And I love it. He is instantly like amazing. And then they scored it to Morris Day and the Times Jungle Love, which is a bop, an amazing bop.
I love that song.
Yes.
I literally wrote in all caps, Paige, how can you hate any movie that features the work of Morris Day and the motherfucking Time? I loved it.
Yes. This is why we need to watch Purple Rain.
Paige, this is going to blow your mind. Never seen it.
Never seen what?
Purple Rain.
Purple Rain.
But I saw him play that song at the Super Bowl, and then God loved it so much, he made it rain.
Yes.
Paige, it rained.
Yes.
And he played the solo for Purple Rain in heels in the rain at the Super Bowl.
Because he's the best.
That's one perfect moment.
It is a perfect moment. Purple Rain is a love story. Like, it's a fucked up love story, but it's also a musical, Todd. Todd, I can't believe you haven't seen Purple Rain.
Paige, I can't believe I haven't seen it. I can't believe I haven't picked it.
Did you know there are 2 sequels?
What?
To Purple Rain? Yes, bitches! Yes! One New Year's Eve.
Purple Snow?
No. It's Beyond the Rainbow Bridge, and I forget what the other one is called.
Magenta Hurricane.
It's something. Might as well be. One New Year's Eve, roughly 15 or so years ago now, my roommate and I in our off-campus college apartment got trashed on New Year's Eve and watched all of them.
Nice.
The second 2 do not make sense. The first, Purple Rain, is a fucking classic, and Morris Day and the Time are the villains of the movie. Like the actual Morris Day and the Time. One of many villains. It's a complicated story. And Prince plays himself, and he says crazy things like, cleanse yourselves in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. And she's just like, okay. And he's like, this is not Lake Minnetonka. And you're like, what does this even mean? Purple Rain is fucking great. I will die on this hill. It's also the soundtrack to Purple Rain, unparalleled.
Oh, I've heard the soundtrack.
Oh, I have it on vinyl that's lavender. And my roommate and I used to put it on whenever we would clean the house. Purple Rain.
Clean the drain.
I've been to Paisley Park. I don't play. Anyway, Queen Latifah. She's there. Eugene Levy is just like, it's a love connection immediately. And she basically talks to Steve Martin and is like, look, I'll go away conveniently right now if you give me a place to stay and work on my case. And he's like, oh my God, please. But also I'm going to need you to lie and say that you're my kid's nanny in a very offensive way. And she's just like, fine, but I don't like it.
Right.
But she and Eugene Levy end up going out and having a drink by the pool because he's super into it.
Oh, yeah. Eugene Levy is so into Queen Latifah, and I love everything he says after he like falls in love with her at first sight.
Yeah, he's great.
Fuck.
I'm going to burn a fun fact.
Do it, please.
So when they made this movie, in the script, none of the fake slang that Eugene Levy or Steve Martin say was in the script.
That does not at all surprise me.
They were tasked with making it up in the moment, which after they made up the, you've got the cool points are out the window and you got me all twisted up in the game or whatever it is, the one that they repeat.
Yeah.
They had to remember what it was, write it down so that they could repeat it. But part of the reason they did that is because they were like, over time, like slang changes so fast that like no matter what they say, it's not going to age well because it's going to seem dated literally by the time the movie comes out.
Oh, yeah.
And so for it to like, it'd be equally funny if it was just bad and fake. So they just had them constantly making it up, which I do think is very, very funny, but gives us some of the best, because Eugene Levy he delivers it with the straightest of faces. And I love it every time.
When he said, "You got me straight tripping, boo," I like lost my mind. It was so fucking funny.
That's like what this movie is known for, is that line.
Yeah.
So much so that it has made it into songs. Like Eugene, "You got me straight tripping, boo." Like it's a thing. Like people remember this movie for that.
It's amazing.
So they smuggle her into the house with a pool float so Betty White doesn't see her with her very racist eyes.
I mean, Betty White does see her feet.
Right.
They show you her feet from behind that float.
Yeah. It's a fancy walking pool float.
Yeah.
Technology. Anyway, meanwhile at the lake, Gene Smart and I assume the pool boy, the caddy, the young guy, they're kind of about to be intimate, but the phone rings and she's like, "Oh my God, but what if it's my kids? Like I'm a mom, whatever." She picks up, which is interesting that's what she didn't like Steve Martin doing because she felt like he wasn't engaged, and then she does it in this moment.
I feel like she's not nearly as into that kid.
Yep.
He's not a kid anymore. He's old enough. Like, but that guy she's currently with.
He's a big boy.
Wow, Paige.
Okay.
I'm so glad we captured that. But yeah, so he's
a big boy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like she's not as into him as he is into her. And she is still in love with Steve Martin, although we don't really see any of that on the screen.
No.
That is all just, I have to assume
It's
based on what's
implied.
going on. Yeah, it's implied, Mikey, yeah.
It's her actor's secret.
Yeah.
Her actor's secret is that her character is still in love with Steve Martin.
But she is getting that big boy dick on the side. Fuck, Paige.
Yeah. That thick, hot beef injection.
It's not on the side. They're divorced.
They are divorced.
I mean, no, I'm not saying she's doing anything wrong. In fact, good for her and all that. But like, I just feel like she is having sex with someone that she wants to have sex with, but she actually wants to be with Steve Martin's character. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's called being single. Yeah.
It's called walking funny after, you know what I mean?
I don't have that experience.
Well, you don't.
Because unless I like do a weird position, I have a bad right knee. So
Listen, we get that you're going to be on all-time bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, it's not that. If I lean on the right leg, so if you're on a couch and your right leg is the one off the couch holding all the weight, and
I did not expect this level of detail, and I'm so glad we got here.
I need to flip. I need to flip over. The left leg can go for hours, but
I need you to draw me a diagram.
Yeah. Show me on the couch where you touched her.
Mm-hmm.
all over.
The couch?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Mikey.
Turn that cushion into a ottoman, you know what I mean?
Thought of it.
That just sounds like Mikey's fucking his couch.
No, that sounds like that's my thinking ottoman. That's my thinking ottoman, where I kick my feet up and have good ideas. Yeah, ottoman.
I thought Mikey was so alone that he was fucking furniture now. Is that not what's happening?
That's not.
He did sound like he was super into the fish from Fools Rush In.
Yeah, you were really into that dead fish because you thought if you banged the dead fish, you could
Marry
then
Selma
marry
Hayek.
Selma
Okay,
Hayek.
here we go for this film.
Let's do it.
Marry, fuck, kill. Eugene Levy,
All right.
Steve Martin, and Queen Latifah.
Oh, you got to marry Queen Latifah, 100%.
Agree.
Even if it means murdering Steve Martin to have sex with Eugene Levy.
That is exactly what I would call as well, because I don't think Eugene Levy can play banjo. So I think you have to kill Steve Martin.
What?
I just think I might be Eugene Levy's type, given the amount he talks about jiggle in this film.
You're certainly his type in this movie, for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yep. Anyway, so it's actually Missy Pyle who is calling to basically be like, your husband hired a convicted felon, while she is feeding her date, who is so elderly they are not able to care for themselves. But we cut back to the house, and Steve Martin and Charlene, Queen Latifah, are going through all of her charges, which my favorite is like eye gouging, scrotum crushing.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, yeah, I was mad because I didn't do it. But as they're talking about it, he's like, well, why don't you go to school and apply yourself? My daughter she's going places. And of course, Queen Latifah watches as the daughter sneaks out. And she's like, oh, yeah, she's going places, all right.
I did love that, but she ain't no snitch, Paige. She didn't say shit.
She ain't no snitch, but she does realize after reviewing the depositions for her case that the prosecution failed to disclose exculpatory evidence which could have impacted the outcome of the case, which is also known often as, I believe, a Brady violation, but it is illegal.
Yeah.
She is correct. That is a problem.
Yes, from that famous case where Tom Brady was wrongfully convicted.
A Brady violation is a violation of the Brady rule, which requires the prosecution to disclose specific evidence it has in a criminal case to the defense. The evidence that the prosecution must disclose is any evidence that could be favorable to the defendant or exculpatory, meaning it could prove that the defendant did not do the crime.
Yeah. And she didn't. Like, by the end of this movie, we know who did the crime she went to jail for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I do love in this moment, he's like, you are very smart. Why don't you talk like us? She's like, because I'm me and I don't need to be you. And I love that about her character, that her
Me
character
too.
is never like, I don't need to be you or your measure of success. I'm me. I'm the queen. I am Queen Latifah. And you will murder Steve Martin and have sex with Eugene Levy to marry me. And she's right. She's right.
Because those are the rules. Yeah. No, I
Those
agree.
are
I
the
love that
rules.
scene when she pretends to talk like them because she fucking crushes it. She sounds like, like they do. And then she's like, but I don't need to sound like that because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I love that.
And this is now taking place in his office at work because we kind of like montaged our way through.
Yeah.
And Eugene Levy is there, who again, he's just like, yes, oh my gosh, love her. But they then have to hide her from Steve Martin's boss. It's throughout the beginning of the movie, it's a lot of them hiding her from people they know are racist and awful.
Yes.
And then as the movie goes, more subtly than I would like, I would have loved a little bit more of them eventually standing up for her and being like, she deserves to be here as much as you.
Yeah, they don't really do that.
They don't really do that. They just eventually stop hiding her.
Yeah. But I mean, she does stand up for herself with the sister-in-law in the bathroom. Like,
Love.
yeah.
We'll get to it in just a second, but love.
Yeah.
When she does the like little tie bow jump, I'm just like, oh, yes.
Better kick that
Get
bitch.
her. Get that bit. When she hangs her up at the end, I'm just like, damn right. Yes.
Shit was amazing.
I'd like to dip you in cheese whiz and spread you on a cracker. You are some kind of freaky.
God, everything he said was so funny.
And I love that she just come like, hey, freak boy.
Yeah.
I love it so much. This is the best version of Mary Poppins.
It is. It's my favorite. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the groceries, prep work, and the cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more. Plus, over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have tons of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Factor now offers like a load of snacks. In fact, we just got some of these like smoothies that were really great. They have a banana chocolate smoothie that like I drank way too much of. It was so good. And even better than that, when things get hectic, Factor's like flexible. So you can change up your order every week with plans from like 4 to like 18 meals per week. So you can like have a bunch of meals or just a few meals depending upon like how many times you need meals that week, right? So it's great. So head to factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 and use code romancingthepod50 to get 50% off. That's code romancingthepod50 at factormeals.com/romancingthepod50 to get 50% off.
Anyway, so they try to hide her. They can't. People come out. But she plays it off where she's like, thank you for doing charitable taxes for our thing. So she and Eugene Levy leave. Meanwhile, Steve Martin has to go golfing with that old, mean, racist bitch with the dog.
Yeah.
And she's also like cheating because he's like, well, you beat me by 19. She's like, let's make it 20. Just like, he let her win, basically, I would assume.
She wouldn't even like put her own ball on the tee. Like, she is very rich and has always been very rich. She even like refers to herself as an heiress. Like, that's a good thing.
Well, my favorite is when he's like, you worked hard for your money. And she's like, I'm an heiress. And he's like, you worked hard to keep the money that you inherited.
Yeah.
Yes. But we cut to Queen Latifah and Eugene Levy are on a date because this is where they actually go on that one date.
At the club. But yeah, because they run into him here. Yeah.
Yeah. Where he's like, I'd like to dip you in Cheese Whiz and spread you on a cracker if I'm not being too subtle. And she just says, you are some kind of freaky. And they are digging each other.
Yeah, they're into it.
But of course, Steve Martin runs into them and is like, what are you doing here? She's like, I'm on a date. Like, me and Freak Boy, we're on a date. And of course, Missy Pyle shows up to just be like, I'm racist.
I mean, more or less, yeah. She says some very racist shit and then goes to the bathroom.
Well, not before. And I don't love jokes at eating orders dispense.
Say that again.
Thank you. I don't love jokes at eating disorders expense.
Oh,
There
okay,
you go.
okay.
Thank you. But when Queen Latifah says, bitch, I'll kick the bulimia out of you, I damn near lost my mind. It is a problematic joke. We could have said a million other things that we could have kicked out of her.
Sure.
But she does go to the bathroom unattended and Queen Latifah follows because, like, all right.
It also sort of sets up the way that fight ends on some level because she ends up hanging her by her swimsuit.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
it's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Because we then get literally a Mission Impossible level fight, a brawl in this bathroom.
It's like a 3-minute fight scene.
It's very odd.
And honestly, you couldn't cut a frame of it. It is next level crazy the whole time.
My favorite is before she punches her in the face and she goes, you look like you could use some eyeshadow.
Yeah.
Just like, and then the
gives
next
her
time we
some.
see her, she's got a horrible black eye. But eventually Queen Latifah does win, hangs her by her swimsuit, and just says, I don't ever want to have this conversation again, and leaves. We cut back to the house where Queen Latifah's working on someone on the couch, and the little kid is learning to read out of a porno mag that he found in his dad's bedroom somewhere. But he is successfully reading. But no sooner has he learned how to read, everyone's excited about it, Betty White comes over to take him to her really racist poker game.
Yeah, because he's the dealer. Like, the kid is the dealer. I mean, this is all very much just to get the kids out of the house so Steve and Queen can go out, like on a date, sort of. It's not really a date, but it's like they can go out together and like connect.
It's like a friend date.
Yeah, it is more friendly, yeah. But I did love that the way the girl gets out of the house is exactly what Katherine Heigl's character did in Bride of Chucky. I was like, hell yeah, man, I love this.
It was so good. But yeah, so she does the date switcheroo.
Yes, where she has like the, not nerdy, but like, clean, upscale kind of collected boy come pick her up. And Steve Martin's like, yeah, you can go out with him. It's fine. Have a good time. And then once they get to the car, it's revealed that she's going out with some like
older, skeezy,
wrong side of the tracks, older motorcycle gang guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that leaves Queen Latifah and Steve Martin alone in the house. And he's like, hey, you know what? It's just us. Do you want to go out to dinner? Yeah, let's go. So they go to a nice club that does an amazing Shaka Khan cover. Whoever that band is.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Amazing. And they end up dancing and he cannot dance, but she gets him into it, like the rhythm. This is kind of them getting to know each other. This is where he finds out more about the case, more about the boyfriend.
Yeah.
But also this is where she's just like, yo, let me help you
Yes.
with what is happening in all of this.
But like, because he's a workaholic, he can't dance.
Yes.
He doesn't really have anything in his life other than work. So Queen Latifah like takes him on as a project,
Sure.
which I loved.
Emotional labor she didn't have to do, but she chooses to do. That's why she's the hero of this film.
But I mean, he is helping her with her case.
Yeah.
So I could see why she does this, right? And it also is super fun. But when she's like dancing with him and then the other girl comes over and starts dancing and then it's just the three of them dancing, like grinding up on Steve Martin.
Yep.
And he's sort of dancing like he's out in front of a car dealership and he's got air blowing through him. He's dancing like that. I loved it. Thought it was hilarious.
It's great. And now what we will reveal is that his ex-wife and sister-in-law are at the same club. And the sister-in-law is just like, yeah, no, I got hit by a car when I was jaywalking. Don't worry about it. She's wearing like sunglasses inside this whole thing.
Because she got her ass kicked by Queen Latifah and now she has a black eye.
Yeah, because she was talking out of pocket and she should watch herself.
Yeah.
Talk shit, get hit.
And she did. And Queen did.
Yes. So they decide to leave for the night after they've had a good time. But this is where we kind of get the inkling that like, well, maybe Steve Martin's ex-wife is not quite over him.
Yeah, because she is like expressing some sadness that he is like now expanding his horizons and like dating other people.
Yeah.
Or seemingly dating other people.
Or he looks happy at least in this scene.
Yeah.
And you know nothing makes your ex more mad than when you look happy. You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
Yeah.
They hate it.
Thanks, Instagram.
So they get back to the house and Steve Martin is very drunk and he's admitting to her, he's like, sometimes I just drive past the old house and I miss her. Like he clearly misses her. And this is where Queen Latifah's like, I'm gonna help you get her back. Let's put on some Barry White. And she's like, talk nasty to her. And this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
It's so funny.
Because I want to kiss you a lot. It's just.
But it's like a drunk Steve Martin saying it. It's so funny.
It's a funny scene.
While he's like molesting a statue in his house, but like it's not like a statue of a person. It's like a rock statue with a hole in the middle of it.
Oh, like a person.
Oh my God. Mikey's like, mind if I come over and chisel away at you? Paige is writing more on her notepad.
Yeah.
I'm just doing a fun visual joke for me.
I love that every time you do it, I have to explain it because the listeners can't see you.
Yeah, it's Scorpio season. I'm done doing emotional labor. This is y'all's job now.
Anyway, he's really bad at dirty talk in a way that makes me laugh a lot.
Yes.
Have you ever, okay, my question to you two, because I've talked about this on the podcast before.
I love that this is coming right now. Please hit me. Let's do it.
Yeah, go for it.
Have you ever dated or been with someone who was terrible at dirty talk?
Uh-huh.
I've been with people that don't like to do it.
Yeah.
Because some it makes some people uncomfortable, for sure.
Yeah.
Or some people don't like to be called a certain thing or whatever. Like there's some, yeah. You got to like talk out what is appropriate for you and your partner.
Yeah, nothing hilariously bad. Just more people being very quiet.
Or even sexting. Bad at sexting and or dirty talk.
Never somebody bad at sexting.
I don't like to sext because that's like, I'm always afraid. Well, I mean, I don't really sex now because I live with my girlfriend, but.
Well, you do misspell things a lot. I feel like this is just not conducive to your strengths. I feel like if there was some sort of pornographic song competition, you'd be all over that shit. But sexting, not for you. And that's okay. It's not for everybody.
But you can always use the excuse you're only texting with one hand.
I will say, if there are gentlemen listening to this who are having sex with ladies, make some noises. I'm just saying. Don't get crazy with it, but, don't be just quiet and staring at people. That's the worst. Throw some dirty talk in there.
If you're going to stare at somebody, at least stare at the person you're having sex with.
Yeah. Don't be like, I'm looking at the family photos.
Don't open the blinds.
Yeah, don't pull out your phone and just like.
Or Mikey considers dirty talk like, you have to leave before my quesadilla gets here.
No, there's an embargo on quesadillas.
The taco trucks don't know.
Loophole.
We told them. No, but I have not had any really hilariously bad dirty talk. Have either of you?
Yes, I think I've told this story, but like I dated someone who was very clinical in their dirty talk.
Yeah, you have.
Well, I think you told us. I don't know if you told it on the podcast. I know you told us about this.
She's like, yeah, I just want to like touch your penis. And I was like, oh, that makes me giggle so much.
Mikey, you have to stop dating nurses.
Nurses are notoriously dirty, first off. And then
I'm going to need 10 cc's of cock right away.
Yeah, exactly. I just want you to insert vaginally that penis into my vagina. And you're like, oh, okay. What's next on the instruction book?
Wait, I've got an extra screw and an Allen wrench.
Why does this encounter feel like the worst sex ed class ever?
She was really nice too. She was very, very nice, but I would always just laugh so much because she like meant it. She's like, "Come on, why don't you bring that penis over?" And I was just like,
"Oh, talk clinical to me, baby."
I couldn't take it seriously.
That's the kind of shit I say when I'm trying to be funny.
Yeah, we're just trying to get a laugh.
Not trying to be funny.
Like sometimes one of my favorite things to do is just walk through the house, just be like, "Nice penis," because I think it's hilarious. But if someone was being like authentic in that moment and was just like, "Oh yeah, your penis is so turgid," I'd be like, "Oh no, I don't like this at all."
Holy shit, so funny.
I forgot turgid is a word, and that I love.
The turgidity of your member is appropriate for my vulva. Like, it's just strange.
Or okay, wait, let me tell one more. There was one who like had to have like a scenario, so it was more like a role play than a sex.
Mikey,
all right, what kind of scenario?
Baby. Let's talk it out. Like, don't rush
Enter stage right, a dick and balls.
So I put on my wizard's hat.
Wait, wizard? It was really wizards?
No, it was just like, we're at the fair. And I was like, we're at the fair?
Oh, that's boring.
Like, just the fair?
I don't know.
You bought me popcorn, and I don't want to go on the Tilt-A-Whirl.
You're my teacher, and I'm a undercover journalist, and we're on the...
We can't talk about Never Been Kissed right now.
I'm actually not supposed to say that to you. No, I'm just like, we're dating. I don't need like a made-up scenario. Let's just like.
I feel like if you're gonna go made up scenario, you gotta go wild. You gotta be like, you're an intergalactic overlord and I'm a rebel who's imprisoned on charges of whatever. Like, you gotta like really, you're a zombie and I feel like I can cure you. You know?
So,
get weird with it.
And the only way to cure you is through the power of D.
Oh my God.
So it's just like her getting railed on while trying to eat your brains. Honestly, if you can find a woman who will do that for you, you marry that woman. Not because you're into it, but because you know she's into you.
We don't do role playing like that because I commit to bits.
Too much.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like, now roll your D20 dice.
If you calculate +1 on every negative, we can cross the bridge. Yeah.
I break my ankle attempting to do that position. Critical failure.
Oh, you must have rolled a 1, Mikey.
I'm going to role play as a person with a back injury and you get on top. Anyway, so she is trying to get him to talk dirty and trying to get him to like come on to her and be aggressive. And he's like, I'm going to give you an aromatherapy massage. But they and she does have him put fake balls down his pants, and they do dry hump on the couch. Like, that definitely happens.
I mean, yeah, they're definitely like, they're fully clothed. Like when Betty White and his son walk in, they are on the couch in a very provocative position, and he is saying some stuff that is vaguely dirty talk-ish.
I have a hot take.
Hot take me, man. Hot take me.
I love a good dry hump every now and then.
A controversial take, I agree.
Yeah. If you're into it, you're into it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's
grind it out, man.
Warm it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I never want to stop with that, but it's a nice warm up.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm not 17 again, you know?
So glad teen came after that. It was like a little longer than I wanted it to be, though, so I was very scared, but...
That's what they usually say. They don't say that.
No, because they're too busy saying, ow.
You're stepping on my foot. I wish I would have pinched Paige with my toes while I was staying at her house.
No domestic violence.
Like I look at her now and I'm like, why did I do that?
Because I'm married.
It's a very weird thing to think while looking at your coworker who is head of HR, Mikey.
I'm going to have to write you up.
It's not sexual. It's just regular harassment.
That doesn't make it better.
I think it does. I think it makes it a little better.
No, because what if it was like, it's not stabbing, it was a screwdriver? Like, that doesn't make it better.
Third-degree murder is less time than first-degree murder. There's degrees of the infliction of the law.
No domestic violence.
If it does happen, I want to capture on video so we can share it on social. That's all I'm going to say.
I refuse to get close enough to your feet for this to happen.
I could come over to your house and domestic violence you tonight, Todd. It's whatever
There you go. There
you
you
can
go.
videotape that.
You can role play as friends.
Don't threaten me with a good time, baby.
We should do an OnlyFans page, just me pinching you with my feet, and I bet we could make some money.
Mikey, I know we could make some money, and that makes me very much not want to do it.
Okay, who do you think would make more money? You two toe pinching each other, or if I just did a regular OnlyFans?
You
would make more money.
Way far
You would
more
make
than what we
so
would make.
much more
Paige,
money.
are you serious?
Yeah.
You don't think there's more people into weird shit?
One, I don't think you would keep it normal. I mean, I don't.
Keep it normal.
Yeah. You would just be naked, also doing weird shit, and then also a woman. So, yes, I don't think I'd make a lot of money. I'd have 30 bear dudes being like, yeah, show more chest hair. And I'd be like,
They've got money. They get paid like almost 30% more than I do. They've got more money to spend.
It's an untapped market, Mikey. Let's do it. For the barefoot fetishes community.
It's a pretty tapped market.
I do not want to tap that.
You know what? Okay, fair.
Fine.
My brother got all of those jeans.
And his jeans were cutoffs.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Anyway, Betty White bursts in and says the most offensive thing of the movie. So offensive, I don't even really want to repeat
Please
it.
do not.
We don't have to do that.
But Steve Martin's son is also there as well because he was at her house because he was their dealer for like Red Hat Society's poker night.
Right. Now, we don't see, and this is kind of a weird plot thing in the movie because we don't see the daughter come home, but we have 2 or 3 scenes in between her calling Queen Latifah to come pick her up, because we cut to the office the next day where, because Betty White is his boss's sister, they're all like, we heard you were humping your nanny, so like we're not down with it, which like as a lawyer he should be like, well, excuse me, that's my private life and you know it doesn't impact my work, so
yeah,
you know.
Paige, you're supposed to hate a lot of people in this movie and I do hate them.
Yeah, oh absolutely. But they get back to the house. He comes home and he sees Queen Latifah talking to somebody outside. We will find out that this was Queen Latifah's now ex-boyfriend, widow, and she's trying to clear her name. And she is kind of, it seems like she's asked for help from him without realizing that he did the crime.
Right.
But Steve Martin kind of immediately doesn't like him. But as they're having a conversation about it, the phone rings and it's the daughter from Halloween Town. And the daughter's just like, Charlene, I'm at a party. Can you come pick me up? And Charlene's like, of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She rolls up, gets to the party, finds Halloween Town, and is just like, Halloween Town, what happened? And she's just like, I said no, and he tried to keep going, and I was not okay with it. And I left, and there's somebody else, but like, I just want to go home. And so she sends her out to the car, and then she goes upstairs and finds that guy and is just like, no means no, and like dangles him by his ankles off the balcony of the house.
She Suge Knights him, yeah.
Yeah, she Suge Knights him.
Yeah.
Until he apologizes to Halloween Town, and then they go home.
I have never seen Halloween Town, but because of this running joke, I'm gonna see it.
Really?
I've never seen
It's a Disney Channel original film, and it came out during the time when you would not have been able to see it because A, it's slightly after our time when we would have been watching Disney Channel, but also poor.
I do love that you guys throw that in my face. It's fun.
Poor.
You know, you were poor growing up. Yeah, but we watched Hocus Pocus while we cooked something the other night, and it was one of the options for like their spooky season playlist, and I was like, we should watch Halloween Town, because neither of us had seen it.
There's 2.
I know, the sequel was up there too, so I think we're going to sit down sometime and watch Halloween Town this spooky season.
Debbie Reynolds is her spooky witch grandmother.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Halloween Town's like a classic.
Cool, I mean, I'll definitely watch it.
I've never seen it either.
I remember nothing of it. I know I have seen it, and I was like, okay. It's not one that I'm like, woohoo, we're watching it every year. But if somebody's like, we're watching Halloween Town, I'd be like, all right, sounds good to me.
All right.
Next, let's watch that one with leprechauns and basketball.
Hell yeah.
And then we can finish it up with Xenon Girl of the 21st Century. Xenon's awesome. Xenon slaps, and it has a great theme song. You guys don't even know. You don't even know about Protozoa.
I don't.
It's the powerhouse. No, it's
The powerhouse of the cell. That's what you were going to say.
Mitochondria. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's pronounced metachlorians.
Midichlorians.
Protozoa is a fake band in the Disney Channel original film Xenon Girl of the 26th Century.
It's also like a single-celled organism, I think.
Maybe. But they have a hit song in the world of the movie that then like Disney put out but it's like zoom, 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 make my heart go boom, boom, my supernova, zoom, zoom, zoom. It's catchy. It's great. Anyway, so she brings her home. And she's like, hey, Steve Martin, I know that you want to freak out right now. I'm going to need you to not freak out because she's a scared teenage girl. And if you freak out, she's not going to tell you anything. But we need her to feel like this is a safe space where she can be honest.
Okay, I am not a parent. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But I feel like this is great advice because she was very much possibly sexually assaulted, perhaps. Or it felt like it was going to go in that direction. She had a very scary night, is my point. Like, now is not the time to yell at her anyway.
Right.
Like, Halloween Town needs comfort food and to be able to go to bed. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But he goes in there and she, like, tells him everything. And he's like, oh, it sounds like you had a crazy night. I'm so sorry. And she's like, oh, my God, I thought you were going to kill me. And he's like, no, me? I would never. And then, like, they hug. And she says, I'm going to tell you about everything now. Or something.
There's so much else I have to tell you. Yeah.
And his face looks so terrified. Steve Martin's great in this movie. He nails it.
Anyway, so he goes and screams into pillows and takes some pills and screams again. He wakes up the next day and he looks at their old family photo and drives past the old house, just like he told Charlene that he does. And he sees his wife taking out the trash alone and struggling to do so. Now, here's one of I did laugh about this when I watched it because he stops as if he's going to help her with the trash. But instead, he's just like, oh, I didn't realize you were back because of the big boy that you took up to the mountains with you.
Oh,
and she's like, no, there were bears eating campers. And he's like, oh, well, I got to go. He answers the phone. He's like, I got to go figure out that thing. I got to get back to my house because this crazy old lady's going to come over. And instead of like helping her get the trash bins directly to the rest of the curb, he just leaves. So she just continues to struggle.
So I think that they do this on purpose. Like, I think they set this scene up as like, she doesn't need help. She can do it herself. But he goes out there to help her. And then this is a moment where he could have proved that, like, the phone call that he always gets every time they talk in this movie, that phone call is not more important than her. And he fails to do that in this scene because he's not yet ready for her in his life.
He's not.
And she waits for that. And I like that for her.
Yeah. But he arrives home. They, tear through the house, cleaning everything up.
Yeah.
And the old lady shows up. And she's like, yeah, I heard that your house and personal life was in disarray, but also your house seems nice, your children seem nice, and the cooking smells delicious. And I think Queen Latifah was just cooking in general, and he was like, is there enough for the crazy lady? And she was like, all right, fine, okay, sure.
I feel like at this point, there is sort of like family vibes between them, between Queen Latifah, Steve Martin, and the kids, even though there's not really a romantic relationship. But she's like living in the house. They're very comfortable with each other. So she's like cooking dinner for everybody. That didn't seem weird to me. What seemed weird to me was Miss Arnaz inviting herself to dinner and then being the most racist person I've ever seen ever.
I'm going to argue that Steve Martin shares some of the blame.
Yes.
For sure he does.
Because not only does he like, hey, please make food for us, also wear this uniform and pretend to be the help.
Yeah.
And you don't get to sit and have dinner with us. Now you literally just are our servant in the home. It's fucked up, and I'm glad he eats laxatives.
Yes. He deserves it.
But, of course, the old lady is the most racist. And because she's like, I grew up in the South, and we had someone working in our house, but we didn't pay her. She was literally a slave. We enslaved a person. Horrifying. Terrible.
And she's talking about it like she misses it. It's like that kind of racist vibe.
Well, and it's one of those things where, like, the way she's talking about it, you're like, this is bad. This is a level of
You
bad.
would say she's a neo-Nazi, but she's old enough to just be OG.
To have been a Nazi, yes.
I think she's had neo replacement Nazis.
Oh, boy.
Like, that's how old she be. But here's the thing. It's still correct. You should still be like, hey, no, that wasn't okay, Grandma.
I mean, she's saying shit you kick someone out of your house for saying.
100.
Right?
100.
That is not like, hey, calm down type shit. It is like, get the fuck out of my house type shit.
One of my close friends who came to our Horror Virgin live show, I was at their son's birthday a few weeks ago, and they had to kick someone out of their house for something like this, where they had a bunch of work people over. Yes, they had a bunch of work people over. People were drinking. Everyone seemed to be having a good time. And then this one guy decided to drop a lot of N-bombs, and they were like, let us show you the door.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is not happening in our home.
Let me help you find your ass outside my house now forever, please.
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah.
yes. That they like literally were like, we'll call you an Uber, whatever, but get out.
Yeah.
Oh, ugh. Anyway, it's bad enough. But then the old lady's like, there was this old spiritual that her brother used to sing, and she starts singing it, and it's also like, it's bad enough that she's singing one in general, but then it is almost written to be the most like comically offensive. And this is where Queen Latifah takes the knife, and you're like, yes.
I mean, she almost like stabs her with it.
Knife is a good move.
Yes.
But essentially, she instead poisons her food with laxative. But unfortunately, Steve Martin and the old lady switch plates. But you know what? I'm okay with it because Steve Martin played a part.
He absolutely did. Yeah, I was fine that he got the laxatives and had to like run out of the room to shit his brains out, I assume.
Yep. So he leaves. The kids go to eat in the kitchen. And as they open the door to the kitchen, the TV in the kitchen has basically the news revealing that Queen Latifah did not get released from prison. She escaped and she is on the run. And now she's in trouble. So the old lady's definitely going to call the cops. They throw Queen Latifah out. They go to the office the next day. The FBI is there. But as he's leaving his office, Steve Martin gets into his car, and Queen Latifah's ex-boyfriend is in the back, and he's like, do not reopen that case. So Steve Martin now knows, like, hey, if he doesn't want the case open, that means he was probably involved, because otherwise he would want it solved, right?
Right.
Right, because they were, I mean, that's Queen Latifah's ex.
Right.
So you would assume, like, I mean, she was in jail for 5 years. I understand that he moved on romantically, but, like, you would probably still care for that person and want the best for them.
Of course.
And this is clearly, like, him wanting the opposite of that, right? So it immediately makes him a suspect. For, like, the next 30 minutes from here, maybe even less, maybe like 25 minutes, it is now like a detective thriller.
Right.
And I loved it. I was like, hell yeah, pacing, let's go.
Yes. So Steve Martin kind of wrangles everybody, including Eugene Levy, and he's like, we got to find her because it's bad. And Eugene Levy just says, if you do find her, if you do get in contact with her, please tell her that the cool points are out the window and she's got me all twisted up in the game. And he's like, okay, fine. So we cut to, they go to find Charlene because thankfully the kids gave her his phone, Steve Martin's phone.
Yes. Which they made a big production out of him saying it was a $600 solid titanium phone.
Yeah.
You know it was a Nokia 3150.
Yeah.
Right.
And they would have been like, oh, stops a bullet? For sure that stopped a bullet.
For sure. But so they roll up, they put her in the car. They're like, okay, we think your boyfriend was involved. Where would he be? And she's like, hey, it's probably at this club, the Down Low, but like, you cannot business white guy just walk in there. Like, you can't do this. And it's at this point that Steve Martin goes, oh, hey, by the way, Eugene Levy told me to tell you that the cool points are out the window and you got him all twisted up in the game. And she just says, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. And I love it so much.
It is great, Paige. Like, it's so very funny.
It's so good.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
But they now split up where Steve Martin's going to go do something at work, or at least that's what he tells her.
Yeah.
He drops her at the house. She immediately calls Eugene Levy and is just like, freak boy, I need a ride. Love it.
As she's like walking towards his house. Yeah. It's like, I think they did that in voiceover because you only see the back of her walking towards the house.
Right.
And I was like, I love that she calls Eugene Levy Freak Boy. Literally every time she refers to him.
I love it.
She'll even call him that to other people when he's not there.
Yeah.
And I love that about her.
And to his face. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. He knows what he is.
You know he a freak?
Oh, yeah. He's the kind of guy who dirty talks like, I can't wait to use my penis on you.
Freak boy. They go to the bougie old lady's house and they're like, you're going to come with us and sign these contracts. Like, we're going to fix Steve Martin's job stuff. Meanwhile, Steve Martin goes to that club and is like, I'm going to get on tape him confessing to being involved in this crime.
Yeah.
So he buys clothes off of people. He goes into the club. And I do love that initially everyone's staring at him like, what the fuck?
Well, because he looks like geriatric Malibu's most wanted, Paige.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I loved him. Like, he became a character. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I loved it.
I do love that he goes full B-Rad.
Yes. he looks like old B-Rad.
Yeah. He looks like vanilla iced tea. Like, it's it's a lot. It's a whole lot. But he eventually just kind of blends because people are just like, I guess this is just that guy. Like,
I wondered what B-Rad was up to, so this makes sense.
I guess his dad lost that, run for Congress or whatever.
Happenstance fun fact.
Oh.
Malibu's Most Wanted came out the same year this movie did. So we should have a, who wore it best
Steve Martin
type of competition between Steve Martin and Jamie Kennedy. And it is Steve Martin, you're right.
It is Steve Martin. One of my favorite parts of Malibu's Most Wanted, which is also a crazy movie that we cannot do for these podcasts, but it is nuts.
Yeah.
Is at the end of the movie when he shows up with all his other rich kid rapper friends.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all ridiculous.
Yeah.
I love it so much. Anyway, so they get the old lady in the car by holding her dog hostage, but they realize that Steve Martin has gone to the club. So they turn around to go to the club. So they show up and they basically sit her down at the bar and are like, you stay here, make friends. Meanwhile, Steve Martin's in the back room with her ex-boyfriend, and he starts to play a song on the boombox, but then stops it and then asks him about the crime of do you need me to help launder your money? Do you need whatever? Meanwhile, Queen Latifah and Eugene Levy are like, I think he's in that back room. I don't know how we'll get back there. What are we going to do? So as that's happening, old lady is smoking a whole blunt.
Yeah.
And just palling around.
Dude, Mrs. Arnaz is getting loose.
She is out on the town. She is out.
And she's sandwiched in between two bigger guys.
Oh, yeah.
Muscly dudes.
Love it.
And I fully believe if an old woman walked into this place and sat down next to two muscly dudes passing a joint back and forth, they'd be like, hell yeah, Grandma.
Of course.
Get in on this. They would love that.
People are people, man.
Yes. Well, and we do see afterwards that they're just like, what up, G-Ma? Hey, we'll see you next week.
That's what I'm saying. I bet that they would get such a kick out of that. They would love it. You know what I'm saying?
Stoned grandma, super into it.
Fuck yeah, man.
I
That's
do
so great.
believe I'm stoned. So as they're trying to get into the back door, the boyfriend kind of kicks Steve Martin through that door out back onto the dance floor. Chaos ensues because he fires and hits Queen Latifah. So Eugene Levy fucking loses it.
I love that.
He goes full feral.
Dude, he goes full feral and jumps on him and grabs him and he is holding him until the police come.
Yep.
The police have to peel Eugene Levy off of Widow.
Yes.
And I love that. He was like, you shoot my woman, I'm getting you.
I'm getting you. And the FBI does show up. They try to arrest everyone, but then Steve Martin's like, remember that boombox I pushed? The boombox can save the world. We have the confession right here on a boombox. And so everyone gets to go free. And she got shot, but it hit that titanium phone. So she survived.
I don't know why, but I loved that the phone saved her life because she had stuffed it in her bra.
Of course.
So funny. I don't know why. It just made me laugh so much. I was like, hell yeah. Thank you.
There was a while, and it was around this time when a lot of people carried phones and bras, myself included. And I don't know if it was like a pocket situation.
Oh, I didn't think that was funny. I thought it was the fact the bullet was stopped by the cell phone that was there was
and
so
didn't just
funny.
explode a titty. Yeah, for sure. And
then she pulls it out, and there is a bullet stuck to the front of the phone.
Amazing.
And okay, I badly wanted him at the very end of the movie when he's talking to his ex-wife. And he doesn't answer the phone. He takes it out and throws it or whatever. I wanted it to be the phone with the bullet hole in it.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Because, phones back then hit different. They were built different.
Yeah. Oh, 100.
You could run over them. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They don't have that stupid piece of glass because you want to touch all your screens, you plebeians.
Right?
I have a joke from the last scene that I didn't get to.
Okay, go ahead.
Queen Latifah was wearing a wire and underwire. Thank you.
You're right. I mean, I assume.
Oh,
she needs the support.
Absolutely. And you know what? I can't with all you TikTok bitches being like, there's no underwire. It's modal. Give me my fucking underwire. My back hurts. Just saying. People always be trying to sell us big titty bitches.
I apologize for your titty struggles.
Yeah, unsupportive shit. No. Anyway, they all come out after. Old lady is stoned, and she's like, is there a 24-hour diner? And Steve Martin's like, yeah, I'll get you food, stoned old lady.
He's like, yeah, I've been high at night. We can go to the diner for sure.
Yeah.
I know what you need, old lady.
Well, and they're in Los Angeles. I think his house is in Pasadena, but it's established that the movie is taking place in Los Angeles. So Fat Sal's would have been an option.
Hell yeah.
I don't think we ever talked about Fat Sal's because we haven't done a bonus since the live show.
We're going to do it this weekend. We talked about it, Mikey. So you are signed up for a bonus episode. It'll be fun. We got a lot of viewer mail.
Not on Saturday.
Yeah, Sunday.
We'll see if I'm hungover enough.
All right.
Wait, do you have to be a certain level of hungover to do a bonus episode?
I'm just saying I'm gonna be struggling that day.
Well, I'm glad that we're recording that morning.
I told you I didn't want to, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It truly is my fault. I apologize because I'm going out of town next week for work.
Anyway, Fat Sal's, open till 3. Tons of chicken fingers, mozzarella sticks on sandwiches and shit.
It's so good. Whatever I had, it was the hot chicken with it had the flaming hot Cheetos in the sandwich. It was so good. I love Fat Sal's. I would go back again.
Absolutely.
After playing the Comedy Store. We left the Comedy Store at 1 a.m. to go to Fat Sal's.
Yeah.
It was a great night.
That's how you do.
It was a very LA comedy night. I was here for it.
Anyway, so they go. Then we cut forward. We a little into the future where he leaves his job at the firm and he opens his own kind of small firm, and Charlene shows up and is like, thank you for helping to solve my case. It's good to see you. Give me a hug. And we reveal that she and Eugene Levy are together now.
Yeah, they are.
And that he and his ex-wife are back together now because he doesn't answer that phone call and throws the phone out the window.
Yeah.
Which, as a small business owner, you do really have to, keep an eye on your face.
Right? I mean, he does have one client who, has billions of dollars. I think he'll be fine.
I think he'll be fine. But we pan over to Queen Latifah giving Eugene Levy cornrows.
Yeah.
And we end on her. He's like, who's the daddy now? And she just says, you are some kind of freaky.
As she pulls the shade down.
Because they're about to get freaky.
Yeah.
Good for them.
And
that's the movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what do you guys think about bringing down the house?
Love it.
So good. I do think Queen Latifah is 2 for 2 for me.
Oh, yeah.
I have loved both the movies we've done that she has put out. I know she's done way more than this, and I'm looking forward to continuing your royal theme, Paige, as we delve deeper into the Queen Latifah oeuvre of movies.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of options, honestly.
I'm here for it. But I liked it. Mikey, did you like it?
Yeah.
I definitely think people should watch it. It is very funny. It is also sort of very racist in a way that is I don't know. It's a little uncomfortable now to watch some of that stuff.
Even though they are portrayed as bad people in the movie, yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at. No one in this movie that is racist is at all positioned as a good person, but it's still hard to watch in some of it. I would have been really uncomfortable if I hadn't seen executive produced by Queen Latifah at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But do you have any fun facts for us, Paige?
I do.
Well, here it is with your fun facts. Latifah, fun facts.
So the house that Gene Smart's character lives in, so his ex-wife, is actually the same house from Father of the Bride.
Oh.
Just, 20 years apart, give or take.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
In some of Steve Martin's earlier comedy bits, he had a specific bit that he wouldn't be able to pronounce the word abominable. And so they added that in as like a little Easter egg at the end when Dame Joan Plowright can't say the word abominably.
That's great. Because she's so fucking high. Yeah.
It's a hard word to say, though.
Yeah.
For some, yes, Mikey.
I was going to have you disbarred, but then I got high. During the fight in the ladies' room, Missy Pyle says she does Taibo because Taibo was very popular at the time. But in real life, Missy Pyle is actually trained in Taekwondo.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, she's doing a great job fighting. I mean, I don't think you can beat any move in that fight scene. You know, Queen Latifah jumps off a bench and jump kicks her. Like, that's the best part of that fight scene. But
yeah,
Missy Pyle does a great job.
Great job. Now, this movie originally started as a screenplay called jailbabe.com by a writer named Jason Filardi. Now, originally, when this was put into pre-production, Adam Sandler and Angelina Jolie were attached, which would be such a very different movie. That is not at all what this movie is, and I prefer this version, I think.
This version's way better, yeah.
Yes.
Well, that would have had to have been a completely different vibe, like a way different movie. Yeah.
I think it would probably have skewed maybe more serious.
That's what I think, too.
Because Queen Latifah is, and it's interesting because Steve Martin's in this movie, right? Famous comedic actor, but he really is playing more of the straight man in this movie.
He is, yeah.
And she is the comedic driving force, which I love because she's great and you can't help but love her. And I do not see that same vibe coming from Angelina Jolie at all.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would have played out.
I mean, Angelina Jolie's a great actress, but it would have been a very different movie. It would have had to have been.
Yeah. So Steve Martin developed a scrape on his forehead after the scene where he hit his head on the steering wheel. You can actually see it in a couple scenes.
Yeah.
Because they had to cover it for the rest of the movie.
Oh, shit. Was that real?
Yes.
Oh, he actually... You do see him hit his head. Like,
yeah.
They do actually do that stunt, and he does it.
Yeah.
It looked painful, honestly. I was like, God, Jesus, Steve.
Right?
So Steve Martin and Eugene Levy also appeared together in Father of the Bride Part 2 and Cheaper by the Dozen. So they have actually been in a ton of movies together. The new law office that he opens is at 1333 Ocean Boulevard in Santa Monica. And at the time, it was an actual law office.
Huh.
So
okay, cool.
And in fun facts, it says it formerly housed two of Los Angeles' most notable attorneys and then proceeds to name names that I don't recognize. And I'm like, unless it was the people from the OJ trial, why would I know this?
Quickly name the top 5 most notable LA lawyers, Paige.
Well, you got to go with Kardashian, right?
Well, he's dead, so
I know he's dead.
He is no longer eligible for such an honor.
What? No, you could. Yeah, you could get that.
I'm just saying that, like, at the time that this was out, like, you know.
I mean, okay, yeah, at the time this was out.
The OJ people were the famous people.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyway, so Queen Latifah's character name is Charlene Morton. Morton was also the last name of her character in Chicago, Big Mama Morton. That's also, she's one of the best performances in Chicago. That movie does not age well. Queen Latifah ages immaculately every time. So in one scene, Georgie, Angus T. Jones, is holding a PlayStation 2 controller, because that's how old this movie is. And the sound effects that he's allegedly playing come from Jack and Daxter, the Precursor legacy from 2001. And you can hear them in the background.
Okay.
It's a good video game.
Yeah. Dame Joan Plowright, who was the bougie old lady, and Eugene Levy have also appeared together in other movies, namely Curious George from 2006.
What?
Now, Adam Shankman, who ends up directing this movie, also directed other Steve Martin movies. They actually worked together again on Cheaper by the Dozen 2, which is not great, but they've reunited and worked together again on Only Murders in the Building currently, where Shankman has directed a couple episodes of the series, and everyone seems to love that show. So, like, probably a better collaboration, I would say.
I need to watch that. I've never watched it.
I've seen the first 2 seasons and I liked it a lot.
I need to start it. My parents watched it and they loved it. And it's one of those things that's like on my list. I just have no time.
Yeah, it's not on Stars, so you probably wouldn't watch it, Paige.
Well, y'all didn't watch anything I liked on Stars, so a lot of the stuff that I liked on Stars is now only on Apple TV Plus. So I'm going to be bothering you about that now. You missed your chance to see things for cheaper, and that's on you.
Apple TV Plus? I ain't doing that.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had to if you had just just fucking done Stars, assholes.
I try to do Stars every day.
Mikey's been trying to get on Raya, Paige.
Yeah.
That's for Stars. I just added more revenges to my list.
I was going to make you explain it. I was holding out to make you explain it.
Deal with it.
I just thought of the perfect sentence to make you so angry, but I'm not even going to say it.
Why would you set that up and not knock it
I've
down,
already
Mikey?
had a shitty day, Mikey.
Say it.
You get to trunk or treat today, and I had to deal with
Say it, Mikey.
people not respecting my work, and now you're not listening to me either, and not respecting my taste in television.
Say it, Mikey.
I think Stars learned that if you go woke, you go broke.
I don't appreciate this at all.
This is why people think you have hard right views, Mikey. They don't know you're joking.
It's not that. I just think of things that make Paige angry really
I'm
well.
not going to correct them either. I'm just going to let that assumption hold.
They don't listen to podcasts.
They being who? Sorry, what are we talking about?
People who use the term woke.
That's aggressively the people who do listen to podcasts, by the way.
But they're all listening to Joe Rogan and fucking Jordan Peterson or some shit, so.
I was in a meeting and somebody like threw that term out and I was like, oh no.
You're like, oof, I must have stumbled into the wrong meeting.
Oh, and he was like older. He was like
Of
the
course
grandma.
he was older. Yeah, I knew he was older when you said he said woke.
Yeah. And I was like, what guy?
What'd you say there, buddy? What'd you say there, pal?
Like, well, I gotta go.
Those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie came out in 2003, like we'd mentioned. What do you think the production budget was for Bringing Down the House in 2003?
I think there's a lot of famous people in this, so
Sure.
I'm going to actually say 40 million.
Okay.
34.
You guys are both a little bit high. It's $20 million.
Oh, wow.
Which is it's a pretty good size budget. I mean, if you adjust that for inflation, that's $33.4 million. But I think they actually get a lot of bang for that buck because there are a lot of famous people in this movie. It looks great. There's like a bunch of locations. I think it went a long way. Anyway, so this movie came out on March 7th, 2003, and it was #1 the weekend it came out. It beat the #2 movie, Tears of the Sun. #3 was Old School. #4 was Chicago. And #5 was How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Which means that Queen Latifah had 2 in the top 10 at this time.
2 in the top 5, Paige.
Yeah, literal queen.
She was a bankable star for a very long time and probably is still today, honestly.
I'd still go see Queen Latifah and stuff.
I would after seeing the 2 we've seen. But what do you think Bringing Down the House made in its opening weekend?
Opening weekend, I'm going to say 15 million.
Okay, Mikey, what do you think?
10.
I am very happy to report that this movie made $31.1 million
Jesus.
in its
Hell
opening
yeah.
weekend.
That's insanity.
It made 150% of its budget back in its opening weekend and then some. It was in the theaters for a total of 23 weeks. And before we talk about exactly how much it made in the domestic box office, I want to point out another movie that came out this year that we talked about. Malibu's Most Wanted came out a few weeks after this came out. So it was above it in the rankings every week until Malibu's Most Wanted's 6th week in the theaters. It was overtaken by Bringing Down the House because Bringing Down the House had more stay power.
Hell yeah.
So eventually, Malibu's Most Wanted slipped below it when it happened the weekend of May 23rd, 2003. Bringing Down the House was still 15th in the theaters, even though it had been in the theaters for 12 weeks at that point. And Malibu's Most Wanted, who had only been in the theaters for 6 weeks, was 19th that week. Anyway, what do you think Bringing Down the House made domestically at the box office in those 23 weeks it was in theaters?
I'm going to say 150 million.
Okay.
128.
Mikey is a lot closer, but those are great guesses on both sides. It was actually $132.6 million.
Okay.
And then it made another $32 million internationally for a total of $164.6 million, which if you adjust for inflation, that's like 270.4 today. That's a lot of money. This movie made a lot of money. And it was executive produced by Queen Latifah, which means she made a lot of that money, and good for her.
Good.
Anyway, that's your box office. So do you guys think they're still together? And I guess that question would be Steve Martin and his wife, right?
Probably.
Yeah, maybe.
Since he quit his job.
And is going on his own and is committed to a better work-life balance, I think. Yeah, I think if he made those changes and maybe some therapy, they'd make it work. But I do think he and Queen Latifah are legit friends for life.
Yeah.
And there's no way Eugene Levy is leaving the Queen. You know what I'm saying?
No.
They're still together to this day in my mind.
Ride or die.
How romantic do you think this film was on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm going to say a 1, but I love this movie. It's just not really romantic. It feels more like a buddy film to me.
Not romantic. What about you, Paige?
Even though there are multiple relationships in it and they are like cruxes of the story. Yeah, no, this is a 1 for me, but I do love it.
It's a 1 for me too, but like it's just not a romantic film, but it's funny and fun. I would say light, but it's very racist.
Yeah.
And that's the romance scale.
All right, well, this week, Paige, you made us watch Bringing Down the House. Mikey, what are you making us watch next week, as I am assuming we delve back into the Cage-averse?
So this is a movie I haven't seen, but it really tickles a lot of my fancies here. It's a story about a woman who's married to Nick Cage and goes back in time to change her. She got knocked up in high school and she goes back in time to like try to stop it from happening, which like she wishes it or whatever.
What?
It's called Peggy Sue Got Married.
Oh, I've heard of this movie, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, I'd never seen it either. And I read the synopsis and I was like, time travel and Nicolas Cage together?
How can you go wrong?
How can you?
Well, I guess your homework for next week is to see if they did go wrong when we watch Peggy Sue Got Married. Is that the name of it?
Uh-huh.
All right. So that's your homework for next week. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
No, I forgot.
Well, while you're looking one up, let me read one of our Spotify comments that came in on our Fools Rush In episode that came out today. And this one is from Not Gus. And he said,
Wait, I thought it was Gus.
Paige, let me clarify. This is not Gus.
Oh, I'm so confused.
And he says, there have been some unhinged episodes before, but the energy here is unmatched. And you know what? Fully agree. That episode was crazy.
Fools Rush In is a crazy episode.
It is. It's great. You're welcome. But Mikey, do you have an Apple review for us to read?
Yeah, from Ultimate Ginge.
Well, what does Ultimate Ginge have to say?
A positive change.
Oh, nice.
This podcast is a much needed breath of fresh air in my life. I had been binging true crime like it was my full-time job.
Oof, I've fallen into that trap, man.
Yeah.
Same.
And after angrily ranting to my sister about how awful humans are to each other, she firmly suggested that I detox with a more positive podcast. I am so glad that she recommended this show because I laugh my butt off during every episode. Thank you for saving me from myself. 5 stars.
That'll be $120.
That's a serious review there.
Yeah. And thank you so much for, taking a break from true crime with us. We appreciate it. Well, Ultimate Ginge, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And if you want to have Mikey read your 5-star review or me read your Spotify comment, do one of those things. So, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So, guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
On Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. You complete us.
To completion. Do we not want to say our names, though?
Fuck our names. You know our names. If you made it this far, you learned them.
You know who it is.
Say my name.
Say my name, say my name. We're watching Queen Latifah and Steve Martin say their names. Anyway, I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
You complete us.
to completion.
Fuck the ending. I'm not doing it.
Okay. We'll see you next week. Bye.